guys, welcome back to my channel. So in this video I'm going to be showing you guys how to make this two-piece. So we're going to be starting with the skirt. Guys, if you look at this skirt, you see that it doesn't have any waistband, right? The body of the skirt is the waist and everything we want yours to be. So I'm thinking what I even cut out might be too small, because I initially thought it had a band, but I went back to watch the video and I saw that it doesn't have any band. So I might have to extend it from the bottom, because now I can't extend it from the top, or I'll just leave it the length that I have now. But the length I have now is currently 33, and if I use 1 inch to fold it and then use half an inch to join the top part, I might be left with about let's say maybe 31. So I'll see if I can be able to work with that. So but after that, the next thing you're going to do, so basically measure the length you want and know that you're not going to have any band on the skirt. So measure from your waist down to the length you want, and then add at least 2 inches to that. So after that, the next thing is going to be to measure round your hip divided by 4 and add 2 inches to it. If you look at this skirt, you see that the slit doesn't have a lot of fabric in it. The back also doesn't have a lot of fabric in it. It's almost as if they use even less than 1 inch for the seam allowances, and then they use the tape to iron it down. That way it looks seamless, right? So what you're going to do is your hip divided by 4 plus 2 inches. So my hip divided by 4 is going to be 12, plus 2 inches is 14. So that's why I have 14 inches here. I marked out 1 inch on this side, and then I also marked out 1 inch on this other side. This is going to be the center of my skirt. This is going to be my side seam. So now from this line that I ruled here, I don't know if you guys can see the line. So from this line, this pink line that you're seeing here, this is going to be my center line. So all my measurements are going to be from the distance of this pink line to the other pink line on the side, right? So I'm starting from the center here. I'm going to mark my waist divided by 4. Whatever that is, I'm going to go ahead and mark it. So that should be about 9. I'm going to add 2 inches to it. 1 inch of that in, 1 inch of seam allowance. So that's what I have here. Then come down here from the waist to my hip, which is at 10.5. Mark it. Right, but in the meantime, remember to mark out like half an inch here. This is going to be your seam allowance to join the waist part. I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. So this half an inch here, make sure you've marked it out, and then you're going to mark from your waist to your hip, starting from that line, the half an inch line. So that will land me at 10. So you're going to insert your hip measurement divided by 4. Like I said, my hip is 48, divided by 4 is 12. So that's why I have my 1 inch of seam allowance here, which is this 13. And then from that point now, you're going to come down to the end of your skirt. I'm going to take away, instead of the 12 inches that I have here that will come down here, I'm going to do about 11 inches down here, right? So whatever measurement you have, I'm going to remove 1 inch from that, and then I'm going to add in 1 inch of seam allowance here. And then I'm going to connect it to the hip. So come down from this point at least 1.5 or 2 inches. That way it's not going to be pointy by the hip, and then connect this line to this point here. Once this is done, connect from here to here and then from here to here. This is basically like a pencil skirt that you're making, but in this case is longer. So after that, guys, it will be better if you just take away like 1.5 from the end of the skirt instead of 1 inch, because this is quite long. So 1.5 will be better. So come down here, since this is just straight down, just take away 1.5 from the end of your skirt here and connect it to this 2 inches mark that you came down from after your hip line. And then after that, connect every other thing to the top. So now I'm going to mark our dart. So for our dart, you're going to use your nipple to nipple divided by 2 plus half an inch. So for me, nipple to nipple divided by 2 is 4, plus half an inch is going to be 4.5. And then I'm going to mark my dart to stop 2 inches before my hip. That will be at 8 inches, right? And then I'm going to do 1 inch on this side, half an inch on this side, half an inch on this other side. Connect it straight down, and that will be my dart. So mark 4.5 here, making sure that I'm maintaining my straight line, and then connect it all the way to the top, half an inch here, half an inch on this other side, and that's basically it. So I'm going to go ahead and dart this here, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut. So notch my dart here, and then I'm going to cut from this point out and then split open the center. Guys, this is what I have now. I'm going to use 2 pieces for the front. So like I said, this fabric was folded into 4. 2 pieces in front, 1 2, 2 pieces for the back, another 1 2, right? You see, everything was cut the same. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my dart. So you're going to take it and pick your dart all the way to that 8 inches. The same for the back too. Just mark, hold it down this way and sew your dart. And then once you're done, you close up the seam in front. So this is what we are going to be using for the facing. If you look at the waist, you'll find that it has facing. So this is just my fabric like this, folded into 2, and then I'm going to fold it again into 4, because if you look at it, you see that the band is just at least like 2 inches or 2.5 at the top, and it's inside of the cloth, because our cloth is quite transparent. You could see from it. So all I have to do is just take this here, place the band like this, because this is what will form my band, right? And then I'm going to replicate the shape of my skirt. So move it in, making sure that it gets to the edge here, and then I'm going to mark this here and cut it off. The same thing, I'm going to insert the dart again, mark it so that I know that my dart, even because I'm going to be adding a dart even on this skirt part too, right? So now I know that I have a dart here, and then I'm going to cut off this excess on the waist. Basically, you're replicating the upper part of the skirt, just at least 3 inches up from this point, and then I'm going to split it open. That way I'll have 2 in front, 2 at the back too. Guys, this is what we're working with here, you see. So I have 4 pieces of this also, 1 2 1 2 3 4. So I'm just going to take each one, and just the same way I'm going to try to dart it, right, all the way to the end from the waist part here. And then once I'm done, I'm going to then join it to the waist and flip it over. So you're going to join all the skirt parts together and join all the waist of this one together also. And you see it has a curve by the side here, maintaining the same curve on this other side here. So I'm going to go ahead and join mine together. So guys, this is it here. You see, I've gone ahead and also ironed mine. So let me open it up so that you can see. You see my seam here. Guys, if you want, you can even, instead of doing it this way, you can join the whole piece like this together, and then join the skirt itself together before you join it. I just wanted my seam out. I mean, if you want to hide this seam here, you can also do it that way. Just join the body of the skirt together, join the band together, and then fold it and seam, and then use your seam to join it at the top here, and then iron it down. So that's what you can do. So you see my front center seam here. This is where my slit stops in front here, and then the back, all I have to do is just close it up to somewhere here, start from here, close it up to here, add a zip at the upper part here. So this is what the front is looking like so far. I think I'll still bring up this slit a little bit more in front, but just take a look at the waist here. You see there's no band here, but I'm going to put in the fabric gum in between here, in between the fabric and this, just to iron it down. It will still be firm and sturdy, so I'm still going to iron that in. And then for this, so guys, once you get to the point you want this to be, you double stitch it, right? So wherever you want your seam to be, double stitch it at that point, and then you're going to move each side of that seam away from the center, and then you're going to take your this here, put it in between like this, iron it down. You understand? Do the same thing on the other side, put it in here, iron it down. That way you will not have any seam in front of your clothes. It will just look straight, and there will not be any seam here. So it will just help you to create that slit in front, and do the same thing at the back. Once you're done, go ahead and fold the bottom of your skirt. So with that said, we are going to go ahead and move over to the front part. So guys, for the top, this is what we're going to do. You see, I have my fabric folded into 2. I have the second one folded into 2. But if you look, you will see that one is longer, which is my front panel is longer by at least, I think, almost 1.5 or 2 inches below here, and then 1.5 in between here, right? This is for my bottom placket, and this is for the V thing that comes with the vest, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is to tell you what the width is. So for me, the back is the shorter one, the front is the longer one. So what you're going to do is, I'm going to first measure the length, the width here, which is my bust divided by 4, which is 10.5, plus extra 1.5 for seam allowance. That's what I have as the width of the back, and then the width of the front is extended by 1.5 extra. So go up to the shoulder, insert your shoulder measurement divided by 2, which for me is going to be 8, but because this is going to be a sleeveless, I'm going to do subtract 1 and make it 7. I'm still going to remove a little bit more from this, but I'm just going to work with it for now. 7, and then after that I'm going to mark 1 inch of shoulder slope, and then I'm going to go ahead and insert your armhole length. So how you're going to calculate it is your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. Whatever you get, that will be the length here. Go ahead, mark that here, connect it all the way to the top. Go ahead, mark your bust divided by 4. Insert your seam allowance. Come down to the waist, insert your waist divided by 4. Plus 2 inches, 1 inch of darting, 1 inch of seam allowance. And then, or you can do 1 inch of darting, 1.5 of seam allowance, just because we use 1.5 at the bust. And then after that, I'm going to connect it all the way to this point, right? And then I'm going to give it a curve here. And then come up to the neckline, do 3 inches of neck width, connect it to this point, the shoulder slope here. And once that is done, I'm going to do 1 inch for the back neckline, just like this, and then I'm going to connect it all the way. And then all I have to do is just to go ahead and cut it. So guys, after that is done, I'm going to go ahead and mark my darts. So for the darts, I'm going to start with the back. So basically, I'm going to mark it at the front so you guys should see, but this is what it's going to look like. You're going to do your nipple to nipple divided by 2. So that will be 8 divided by 2, 4. And then I'm going to mark, add half an inch to it, mark that. Give it half an inch on this side, half an inch on the other side, because the back is basically my shoulder to my waist, which is at 17, and then plus 1 inch of seam allowance. That is the length of the back here. So let me just go ahead and mark it. So this is where my waist is going to be, and then I'm going to just go ahead and mark 4.5 from the middle, the nipple to nipple line, then mark half an inch on both sides like this. And then all you have to do is my dart at the back is going to stop at the chest line, which is this line here. So it's going to go all the way straight up, and then it's going to stop on this particular line, this line of my the chest line, and then it's going to go this way, this direction, and then this direction to the center. Same thing goes for the dart in front. It's going to stop, but the dart in front is going to stop, instead of at my chest line, it's going to stop 1 inch before my nipple line, which might be somewhere here. That's where the length in front is going to stop. So I'm going to go ahead and for the back, all you have to do, one more thing you do here, since you've already marked the dart, is to come up here by 1 inch, right? Come up here by 1 inch. This is going to be to reduce the back so it's not too low, right? But if you want, you can leave it this way, but I want to reduce it a little, because remember, this is supposed to be a little bit cropped, right? So I'm going to reduce it by 1 inch at the center back, because another thing is your back is not the same length as your front. So I'm going to go ahead and connect it here. Guys, if you want, you can even add ease to this, right? I think the extra 1.5 I did, I'm just going to use 1 inch for my seam allowance, and then I'm going to do half an inch for ease, because the top, I think it will look better if it's a little bit free, not too like tight on your body. So I'm going to cut this piece off here. So just like that, I'm cutting this out, and then I'm going to separate it from. You see, another thing you're going to do is to make sure you're going to blend this line in here, but make sure that you mark where the back is going to stop. So this is where my back is, right? This is the back, the length of, like, where the side of the back is going to meet the side of the front, because every other thing I'm going to be cutting it out. So after that, now the next thing I'm going to do is from this neck here, I'm going to measure the depth I want the V in front to be. If you want, you can maintain the same length of your armhole. If you want, you can come up a little bit above that. So this length of my chest line, so I think I might just do about 9 somewhere here. That is like 1 inch above this line here. So from here now, I'm going to connect it all the way like this. If you want, you can use a straight part of your ruler. If you want, you can use the curved part of your ruler. I'm just going to use the curved part here. So just like that. So this is going to be my neck in front. And then I'm cutting it out too. Once this is done, the next thing you see is coming together nicely now. So the next thing I'm going to do is put this back again, and then I'm going to measure where the front is. But remember, I took out something from this part here. I took this out from here. So initially it would have been somewhere here, right? So this would have been somewhere here without that 1 inch that I took out. It should have been somewhere here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take it from this point where my dart is going to be. I'm going to connect the end of this to this point, the end of this point to this point. That way I've formed that tail of my dart, but I'm not going to make it too close because I'm still going to be taking away dart from this point. So I might just make it like at least half an inch away from here, half an inch away from here. If you want, you can just blend it pointing towards this direction. It doesn't matter, but I don't want my own to look like that, so I'm just going to give it this line from here, and then from us, so from here I want this point to be pointy, almost like I want it to come down a little bit, right? So it's not going to look, it might not look exactly like how her own is. That's why I brought down the length of my top in front to be longer. If you want yours cropped, you can still do all these things, maintaining the same length as the front and the back. Like the front and the back to be the same, but I want the front a little bit longer. So after that, I'm going to go ahead and also connect this point here. And then I'm going to cut this piece out. So this is what I have right now. So now for the dart, like I said, my dart is going to go up this same line again. Now it's just going to go up a little bit more. Keep it straight, but instead of going up to my chest line, I'm just going to measure where my shoulder to my nipple is, which is at 12. 1 inch before that is at 13. So my dart is going to go from this point to my waist at 17. It's going to look something like this on both sides, half an inch on both sides, and then narrow down at like this. You understand? So this is my waistline. I'm going to mark half an inch on both sides, connect it all the way to the top here, 1 inch before my nipple line, which is here, and then I'm going to also bring it down on this point. You're going to need your lining to turn this over. But before that, another thing I want to do is the shoulder. I want to make this shoulder a little bit smaller. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here by half an inch or 0.75. It depends on you, because I don't want to do too much because I'm still going to use lining to turn it over. So if I take in a lot from here, it's going to since I'm still going to take away half an inch here, half an inch here, when I use my lining to turn it over, it's still going to take away from the width of this here. So let me just go ahead and do half an inch. That way it will be better than doing like extra 1.5 now, 0.75, sorry. So connect it into this, then I'm going to cut it out. Now all I have is just my back panel, which I'm going to be darting like this, 2 darts going up all the way like this. And then I have my front panel, which I have 2 of it here, 1 on this side. You see the pointy part here, which there will be a dart going up here, and then I have the second part of it here on this other side, you see, and then it's going to be pointing like this, and then there's going to be a button in between the 2 of them here, right? Well, it shows that there's this V here, right? But if you want, you can just leave yours like this. So that's basically what you have. So cut this out on the lining, both the back and the front, or if you want, you can use bias. It depends on you what you want. So I'm still going to figure out what I'm going to use, but I think for the front, definitely I'm using lining. It's better if you use lining to turn over everything. Guys, this is what I'm working with right now. So you see it has the facing for the button. This is the button I'm going to be using here. So basically I just used lining for the front, but I didn't use lining at the back. I just used bias because I don't want it too thick. So I'm just going to add 3 buttons here, just like this, and that will be it. So all I have to do is just to close up this side. You see, I turned it over from here. I covered all the sides here, 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 here. So first I used bias to run this back panel, the neck, everywhere. And once that was done, I took the front panel, closed up this sides all the way to the top, leaving this opening, the shoulder open and here open. And then once that is done, I put this upper part of this shoulder inside of this lining, closed it up, and then closed up this side. So this here, if you look at it, you see that this shoulder here, it's inside of this one, and then from this opening I flipped it out. So now this opening will be sewed inside here as side seam and covered down here. If you look at this here, so you will see that I use bias also to sew this down. And then you will notice that my dart is inside of the seam on this one, but here my dart is visible because there's no lining here, right? So all I have to do is just close up the side, put in my button and my buttonhole, add zip to my skirt, fold the edge, and that will be it. So I'll go ahead, complete this, bring it back so you guys can see. So once you put your button on this side here, you also make room for your buttonhole on the other side, and that's basically it. If you finish it and you find that this place has gaping, all you have to do is just give it maybe a 0.2 dart here. Just pinch it 0.25 on both sides, just a very tiny dart, and just close it up. That will be at least 1.5 inches of length. That's all you will need, but I doubt it would have any gaping here. So let me go ahead and complete mine and bring it back. You see how I've sewn this side, so I'm going to do the same thing on this other side. So guys, this is what it looks like. You see, the skirt is ready. Like I said, you can use the tape thing to iron it. I'll still remove this seam and use that. So basically, like I said, how you're going to do it is, you see how my seam just came down from the back, one facing this way, one facing this way. So you just put the tape inside of it here, iron it down, put the tape thing inside on this one, iron it down. So that's basically how you're going to do it. That way you will not have any seam visible anywhere around here. So but for now I'm just going to use the seam and then I'll remove it later. So you see the waist of my skirt, everything is done. And also to hold this down, I'll also put the tape in here, iron it down, and it will stick together. So this is really firm at the moment. So that's what it looks like. This is my top. You see what I was saying, just a little bit, just pinch it out like this. You see, just a tiny dart here, it will help it not to gape by the armhole. And that's basically it. And you see, it gives room for your bust. You see, it's created this thing for the bust. So that's basically it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Bye.